A conservative judge has just declared war on the Trump government. Patrick Schultz is threatening to jail the ICE chief for contempt. 2 people have already died. Hundreds are being illegally deported. And what happened in Minnesota could destroy Trump's entire immigration operation. You won't believe how far this has gone. I'm going to tell you all the details in this video. But first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like on the video. Patrick Schultz isn't exactly the type of judge you'd expect to see in the headlines. Nominated by George W. Bush in 2006, former clerk to the iconic conservative Justice Antonin Scalia, Schultz built a reputation as a cautious, technical jurist averse to the spotlight. But here's the brutal truth. Even conservative judges have a limit when the rule of law is being shredded right before their eyes. The court order issued by Schultz on Monday is devastating in its simplicity. Todd Lyons, acting ICE director, must appear personally in court on Friday to explain why he shouldn't be held in contempt. Why? Because ICE has ignored dozens of court orders in recent weeks. Dozens. We're talking about habeas corpus, one of the most sacred principles of Anglo-Saxon law, the right not to be arbitrarily detained by the government. Schultz ordered that detainees receive bond hearings within 7 days or be released. Sounds reasonable, right? It's the law. But ICE simply ignored it, transferred people to other states, illegally prolonged detentions, treated court orders as optional suggestions. And here's what makes this even more disturbing. This is happening in a national pattern. Judges in Florida, in other states, all reporting the same behavior. A federal agency has decided it doesn't need to obey the courts. Let that sink in. An executive branch agency has decided that the judicial branch is irrelevant. Schultz's letter to the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals was even more revealing. He wrote that never in his entire career had he seen the Department of Justice bypass normal procedures the way they're doing now. And this coming from someone who served under both Republican and Democratic administrations. This is not an activist judge. This is a conservative institutionalist watching the institutions burn. Operation Metro Surge is presented by the Trump government as a public safety operation. 2,000 federal agents sent to Minneapolis. The largest immigration operation in history, according to them. But the numbers tell a very different story. Minnesota doesn't have the largest population of undocumented immigrants. It doesn't have the largest number of criminals with deportation orders. So why Minneapolis? The answer is simple and frightening. Political retaliation. Trump himself called Minnesota's Somalis garbage on national television, said he doesn't want them in the country. And suddenly 2,000 armed agents show up in the streets. The human consequences are shocking. People who lived legally in the United States for decades who never committed crimes are arrested without proper warrants. They're sent to Texas, dropped off without cell phones, without money, without anything, and abandoned to fend for themselves. American citizens have been detained by mistake, including Chung Li Thao, dragged from his home in an operation that DHS later admitted was an error. And then came the deaths. Renee Good, American citizen, mother of 3, shot dead by an ICE agent on January 7th. The government claims she tried to run over the agent. Videos and witnesses completely contradict that narrative. Alex Preddy, ICU nurse, killed during a protest on January 24th. 2 American citizens killed by federal agents in immigration operations. The Trump government's response, Tricia McLaughlin from DHS called Judge Schultz just another activist judge concerned with politics and not security. She questioned whether the ICE director should really waste time appearing at a hearing about a single illegal alien. That's the most revealing part. For them, court orders are inconveniences. Habeas corpus is red tape. The Constitution is an obstacle. And when a Bush-appointed judge who worked for Scalia says enough, the response is to attack him as an activist. What does that tell us about the state of the republic? There's a moment in every democracy where you discover who really believes in institutions. Not when it's convenient, when it's hard. Patrick Schiltz reached that moment, and he chose the Constitution. Friday's hearing will be historic, no matter what happens. If the appeals court allows a substitute to appear instead of Lyons, it will still be a public humiliation for ICE. If Lyons is forced to appear personally, it will be an explosive constitutional precedent. And if the government simply ignores it, then we'll know definitively that we live in a country where the executive doesn't consider itself bound by the judiciary. The cruel irony is that this government came to power promising law and order. But law and order means submission to the courts. It means respect for due process. It means that when a judge says bond hearing in 7 days, you can't just transfer the person to another state and pretend the order doesn't exist. Schiltz himself wrote in his order that this is extraordinary, but he also made it clear ICE's violations are equally extraordinary. Less drastic measures were tried and failed. And there's the tragedy. A conservative judge who clearly would prefer not to be doing this, being forced to consider contempt because the alternative is accepting that court orders mean nothing. And make no mistake, this goes beyond immigration. Today, it's ICE ignoring federal judges about habeas corpus. Tomorrow, which agency decides to ignore which constitutional right? If we allow one agency to treat courts as optional, the entire structure of checks and balances collapses. Minnesota is becoming the testing ground for something much bigger. The question of whether we're still a nation of laws or whether we've become a nation where the raw power of the executive determines what's legal. And a Republican judge, discreet, who just wanted to apply the law, is on the front lines of this constitutional battle. If this case matters to you, if you believe that no one is above the law, not even federal agencies, I need your support. Leave your like on this video so more people see this story. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because this legal battle is just beginning and you need to follow every development. And here's the most important part. Go to the comments and tell me, do you think Judge Schiltz is right to threaten the ICE chief with contempt? Or do you believe that public safety justifies ignoring court orders? This discussion needs to happen. See you in the next video.